If you've been working hard and you've been seeing some success, I want to warn you guys not to fall into this trap that so many people fall into, especially on self-improvement, especially when you're going to the gym, especially when you start seeing success financially, physically, spiritually. And it's a form of self-sabotage. It's taking your foot off the gas. So I want you to go back to a point in your life where you were doing really good. You were seeing a lot of progress, whether that was in school, whether that was in work, whether that was in the gym. And life started feeling good, right? You started getting a little comfortable. You started to feel a little like, wow, I got this shit. And I want you to ask yourself, what happened as soon as you stopped putting as much effort into that activity? Be honest with yourself. You probably took your foot off the gas. You probably stopped trying as hard once you got that money, once you got that six-pack, once you got that woman. It happens with women, guys. It happens with women. Like you do all these things to get a girl. You dress nice. You talk a certain way. You get a haircut. You do all these things. And what happens as soon as you get the girl? What happens as soon as you get into that relationship with that girl that you really wanted? You could probably already imagine several things that you probably started slacking on. Especially even in relationships, you can start slacking. You know what I mean? You can get comfortable with the girl that you're with. You guys ever had a girl that you lost because you got too comfy? Because you thought that you had it in the bag, that you didn't have to put in much effort? This is how a lot of guys end up getting divorced or losing their girlfriends. They stop taking their girl out on dates. They stop dressing nice. They stop dieting. They start becoming more unattractive because they feel like their girl isn't gonna leave them. And the whole reason that girl got with you in the first place, or that woman got you in the first place, is because you were a man that had his shit together. And where you were real ambitious, you had that fire in your belly. And that's the problem. So when you have nothing, it's easy to have that fire in your belly. It's easy to have that drive. When you're starting a business and you're a small business and you're not making much money, it's easy to have this all or nothing mentality, to be able to put in and grind and put in those 12 hours a day. But the second you start seeing some money coming in, you're getting clients, your bank account is looking pretty nice. You know what? It's time to take a day off. I deserve a rest day. I deserve a vacation. And what happens every single time you take your foot off the gas? You see your extra gains, you see your extra success go out the door, and you start losing momentum. The goal of this video is for you to understand and find it with yourself, to not lose that momentum. You need to push even harder than you were pushing when you do find success. And the reason I'm telling you guys this is because I'm guilty of this. This is one of my biggest problems that I have. And it's one of the biggest problems you're gonna have if you are someone who is dialed in, someone who is a successful person, someone who is always going after goals. Because we work so hard that we feel like we're burning ourselves out. We're constantly putting in the work. I can't blame y'all. You can't blame yourself for having that feeling. It's natural. You've been running so hard for so long. You've been pushing so hard that you're gonna be tired. You're going to be tired. You're gonna want to take a little break. You're gonna want to indulge and take the edge off. It's the same thing with quitting a substance, right? You know, a lot of people fall back into addiction. You know, they'll quit drinking for a while. They'll quit smoking for a couple weeks. But then they'll give themselves a little, cheat day or something, right? Same thing with diets. Oh, you dieted for 2 weeks, for a month. You stopped eating junk food. But then you give yourself a little cheat day because you earned it. And we give ourselves all these reasons in our mind like, oh, we earned it, we deserve it. Guys, you deserve nothing. Nobody deserves anything. That's not how the world works. That's not how luck works. That's not how chance works. And that's not how prosperity works. You don't deserve anything. Everything you have in this life is either through sheer will, action, or luck. So manifestation, luck, and through taking action. So doing things, focusing on things, and being in the right place at the right time. Because we all know that luck is real. It does exist. There's good luck and there's bad luck. Now, there is ways to multiply your luck. We're not going to get into that into this video. If you take action and you manifest, you're more likely to have good luck because you're going to be in the right place at the right time. So positioning yourself in the right place and the right time to receive that luck. That's kind of how it works also for bad luck. If you're hanging around bad people in a bad situation and you're doing bad things, you're more likely to get bad luck because the odds are stacked up against you. So, taking your foot off the gas, why do we do this? Why do we do this? It's something evolutionary. It's definitely a form of self-sabotage. I see this happen all the time. I'll tell you guys a story from the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort. So, if you've ever watched the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort is this investor guy. He's a stockbroker. He ended up scamming a bunch of people, but he was a brilliant businessman, and you cannot tell anyone that he was not a brilliant businessman. He just did some questionable things. But if you ever look into Jordan Belfort's past, he didn't suddenly become the Wolf of Wall Street overnight. It took several failed businesses. It took trial and error. He, at heart, Jordan Belfort is not really much a businessman. He's more of a salesman. He's an expert at selling. So, one of his stories about selling was one of his first successes. He grew up in New York, and he had described that there's this beach in New York. I can't remember the name, but there's a beach where there's hundreds of people, blanket to blanket, people, sunbathing, relaxing during the summertime. But there's no concession stands. There's no food. There's no drinks. Basically, this beach is a public beach, and I believe it's called Jones Beach. And there's a bunch of people there, and it's super hot, but there's no ice cream, people selling. So what did he do? He identified a need. There's tons of people here at the beach, but there's nobody selling anything to these people. There's nobody selling ice cream. There's nobody selling Coca-Colas, whatever. So he had the brilliant idea that he was going to go to this Jones Beach. He's going to pack he's going to buy a cooler, he's going to buy a bunch of ice cream, and he's going to sell these ice creams, right? For $1 a pop, something like that. So what ended up happening was he went and bought the cooler, he bought the ice cream, he goes to the beach, He ends up selling out the ice cream within like an hour. So he makes over like $100 in like 1 hour selling this ice cream at the beach. He's just walking around saying ice cream, Italian ice. It was Italian ice cream. He's just saying Italian ices, right? People love Italian ice cream, especially at the beach. So he ends up selling out within an hour, and he realizes, you know what? I'm gonna come back with 2 coolers. He comes back with 2 coolers the next day. Ends up selling out again. Makes like $200 in 2 hours. He multiplies. He goes back the next day. 5 coolers. He stocks up on 5 coolers. He loads them up with like dry ice, all that. He goes and he's selling these coolers of ice cream. The next day he sells 5 coolers and he makes like $500 or $600. Now you got to remember, when he's describing this story, he says this is during like the 70s or 80s or something like that. So this is before inflation. So that ends up like calculating to like thousands of dollars in one day. Imagine making a few grand in one day selling ice cream. So he enlists his friends. He's like, you know what? I got to get my friends to help me sell these coolers, these ice creams, right? And he was talking about how the minimum wage, how low it was during that time, like a few bucks an hour. So selling 1 cooler was enough basically for like a few days for a week's worth of a minimum wage job. You know, you could sell a cooler and you could probably chill the rest of the week. You didn't have to work. His friends that he enlisted, after they would sell, you know, he said out of like 5 guys, or out of 9 to 10 guys, he said 9 out of 10 of those guys, after selling 1 cooler, would take the rest of the day off. They were satisfied. They took their foot off the gas. He calls them 1 cooler guys. What's a 1 cooler guy? That's most of society. And he thought it was ridiculous. He was like, guys, you know, you can make $500 today. You can make $600 today. Like, what's the problem? You know, he tried explaining to him. He had one other friend that was selling 5 coolers a day with him. So he described, in life, there's 1 cooler guys and there's 5 cooler guys. 1 cooler guys are the guys that sell just enough. They feel satisfied, they feel good. They're like, you know what? Oh, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna chill, I'm gonna enjoy this money, I'm gonna go watch TV. Jordan Belfort was a 5 cooler guy. He wanted to make so much money that he didn't even know what to do with. He wasn't satisfied after 1 cooler. He didn't care about going home and chilling. He was focused on making as much money as he physically could. And that's, you guys got to be 5 cooler guys. Stop being satisfied with what you get. Stop being satisfied with what you have in life and start manifesting more. Be a 5 cooler guy. If you make $100, I want you guys to make $200, 300, 400, 500. I'm going to relate this in a form in my business. I have a business. I'm actually going to go do a job right now. I'm about to go make $500. But I have a few guys that work with me in my company. I have some business partners. And they have that 1 cooler mentality, and you'll see this everywhere in life. Typically on these jobs that we have, just like this story, you can make $500 in one day, you can make $1,000 in one day. You can make $300 in one day. I have dudes that work in my company that they want to make their $200 or $300, $400, and then they go home, and then they take days off. they'll literally make that $400 or $500, and then they'll proceed to take several days off, or take a weekend or whatever. They stop working every day. They break it up. They suddenly pay their bills, and all of a sudden, here comes the excuses. I'm sick. I'm tired. I have to go to the doctor's appointment. I gotta do this. My family's having to get together. But guess what? When they're owing rent, when I see these guys, when they owe rent money, when they're broke, all of a sudden they're working every day. Guess what happens as soon as they cover the rent? Can you leave these 2 days off for me? Can you leave those 2 days off for me? I gotta do something. I'm like, what? Yo, you're basically telling me you don't feel like making $600 today. They'll go and send someone else to go work for them. They'll literally have someone else take their shift, which we allow that because I don't want people getting burnt out, but it's optional. I'm saying that this is optional. The way our business works, you can take days off. You can work every day if you want because they're contractors. But what I'm saying is these guys, they pay their bills, and you've probably done this too. You reach the point where your bills are paid, and what do? Oh, boom, time to take a break, time to take a vacation, time to chill. No, guys, it ain't time to chill. If you want to make it farther than everyone else, it's not time to chill. If you just want to have a regular life where you're like everyone else, where you just have your family, you go home, you take a vacation twice a year, go ahead. Go ahead. You can live like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want, if you just want a simple life. But this video isn't for people that want a simple life. This video is for people that want to make real progress. This is for people that want to be businessmen. This is for people that want to travel. This is for people that want to make a lot of money. This is for people that want to make big jumps in their self-improvement journey. This is for the hustlers. So don't self-sabotage yourself. Don't take your foot off the gas. Don't fall into this trap. Because what it's going to look like is you're going to be in this like cycle of like up and down. Like you're doing really good. You're hitting it real hard. And then you like reach this peak where you see results. You see stuff coming back in your life. And then you take a break. And then what happens? Boom. Oh, you're going down. You fucking start plummeting down. You start falling again. And then what happens? You start falling, and then you pick yourself up, and you start going up again. You get on that, oh man, I'm about to be broke. I gotta hustle. I gotta get back on the ball. I'm just pulling into the ferry, guys. 1 second. Yeah, it's this cycle. It's this cycle. You go up, you see success, you chill, you go down, boom, flatline, you go back up. It's like seeing a stock chart. It goes up and up and up, and then it crashes, and it goes up and up and up. And that's usually how life looks too, like, when you're making progress, especially in self-improvement. But you want to make it like as like a good of a like straight line. This is how like people fall into ruts. You ever been on self-improvement, on a diet, going to the gym real hard for 2 weeks? You're going every day, you're putting in work every day, and then all of a sudden you take a day off, and then you take another day off, and then next thing you know it, you take a week off, and then it can get so bad that you take fucking 3 months off. You fall into like a 2 or 3 month long rut, sometimes even 6 months. A year of downwards trajectory. I literally do this with my YouTube channel. I'm bad about this. I'm making this video to hold myself accountable. I'll start making videos. I'll make videos like every day, right? I'll start seeing some success. People are like viewing it. People are subscribing, right? And then what happens? I take my foot off the gas. I chill. I get tired and I'm like, oh, not today. You know, I don't feel good. I don't feel like making a video today. You have to want success more than anything. You gotta have a why. You gotta have a want and a why to push yourself forward, because you're not gonna be motivated. You're not gonna have the will to push through being tired, to push through the BS excuses. You have to have a why. Like, you want to retire your family? Do you want to go to Dubai? Do you want to travel? Stop working that shitty 9-to-5 job. Start working for yourself. Be your own man. Do you want women? Do you want power? Do you want a nicer car? Really ask yourself, what is your ideal life? What is your ideal life, and how are you going to get to that? So next time you reach the pinnacle of success, guys, when you feel like you're reaching that peak, when you feel like you're seeing some real results, identify that you're there and be like, I'm not going to take a break this time. I'm not going to chill. I'm going to push to the next level. This is how you get to the next level, because you're going to be up there near the top of that level. Instead of bouncing off the ceiling, man, you got to break through to the top. You got to break through to the very top of the ceiling, to the next level. Book a call with me down below, one-on-one. If you're serious about reaching the next level, if you're serious about implementing this stuff, then book a call with me one-on-one down below in the Calendly link. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment, tell me your experience. If you guys have experienced this before, tell me your story. And peace out.